So let's explore working with live corners. This is a really cool feature in Illustrator CC, and essentially what it allows you to do is to free form the hard corners of the objects and paths that you make and to manually round those out. Let's go ahead and look at how this feature works. So I'm going to go ahead and select this square with my black arrow tool. You can see when I do select this object, I get the bounding box around it, but even within that bounding box, you get these small target circles that hover next to each corner. This is where you activate the live corner tool. So if I just hover over one of those targets and look at my black arrow, I can see I'm getting a little arc right next to my black arrow. That means I'm ready to activate the live corner. So if I click and drag, I can start to see a preview of how I'm going to affect the corners on this shape. So I'll go ahead and pull those in just a little bit and then release and then click outside, and you can see we've manually kind of free formed the corners on that square. Let's go ahead and try it on another square. This time let's experiment with modifying individual corners on these objects. So to modify the individual corners, I'm going to use my white arrow tool, and I want to affect just this corner here. I'll hold down on the shift key and I'll modify this corner here. Now if I hover over that target and wait to see that arc icon, I can click and drag, and now you can see I'm only affecting just those corners. Let's go ahead and get some practice and let's try rounding out the corners on this hammer shape. So I just went ahead and used the pen tool and just made a rough kind of outline of the silhouette of a hammer. So let's go through and kind of round out these edges and give it more of a soft feeling. So I'll start up here. I need to use my white arrow and I'll just kind of go point by point, select that point, and I'll round it out. I'll select 3 of these points. So this one, and hold down on the shift key, this one, and this one. And all I have to do is pull on one of those targets, and you can see that it is rounding out all 3 of those. Now when I go too far, I can see that those edges will actually light up in a thicker highlight red. That's just letting me know that that's the farthest that those corners can go. I'll go ahead and release. I'm going to select this corner and then this one all the way down over here, and you can see it kind of symmetrically rounds out those corners together. I'll select these 2 and then round out those corners. So I'm going to select this corner and then shift select on this corner. And if you look right up here in your control panel, you can see we have a input box where we can start to modify those corners numerically. So I'll go ahead and increase those to 0.2 and then click outside. I'll come over to the end of the hammer right here and click that. This time I'll double click on that target to access my corner options. And I'm going to change from just being a round corner all the way over here to a chamfered end. It's kind of like a straight cutoff instead of a round end. And I'll increase the radius, and it looks like even 0.1 is a large radius for this. So I'll go ahead and put in 0.01 and then click OK. I'll come over to this end and click on this point, and I'll round out this edge as much as I can, and then I'll come over to these 2 points over here. I'll select those together, holding down on the shift key. I selected those 2 points, and then I'll just manually pull these in. I'll just pull them in as far as they'll go and then release. Alright, so now hopefully you can see how quickly you can turn a primitive geometric drawing into more of a hand-drawn or softer looking drawing. Okay, so let's end this exploring the corner options. So like I was showing you guys before, we can click on a point and then double click the target next to it, and we can bring up the corners option dialog. I'm going to go ahead and keep this as just a regular corner. Let's come down over here to the round corner portion, and I'll double click on this target, and I'll keep this as a round corner, but I'll increase the radius to 0.1 inch and click OK. And then let's come down here and click on this bottom right hand corner. I'll double click on the target, and let's go ahead and look at what the inverted round corner is. So I'll choose inverted round and then increase the radius, and basically it's rounding it out, but it's rounding towards the inside of the shape. I'll click OK, and let's go ahead and try our chamfer corner. So click on the point, double click the target, and let's look at what the chamfer does. So you can see as I go up and down with the radius that chamfer will start to pull all the way in to the shape itself. click OK. And then finally, let's just explore the relative versus the absolute radius. I'll double click on that and I'll increase the radius. So the absolute is basically applying the 0.2 inches to both sides, but when I choose to do the relative rounding, it's kind of averaging this angle of 0.2 inches from here to here and finding kind of the midpoint. So I'll click OK, and that is how you work with